Joe Smarro is a combat veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He's a former police officer. He's the founder of Solution Point Plus. They're an organization working to empower first responders, behavioral health communities, and business leaders through leadership and mental health. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. Excited to talk to you, my friend.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us a little about your personal life, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, personal life is a bit of a disaster growing up. Um, for those familiar with ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, the score is 0 to 10. I have a 9. And so childhood sexual abuse, physical abuse, essentially left home around 15, started staying with some friends. And then my girlfriend's parents took me in my junior year of high school, and I really wanted to like thank them and show them my gratitude, but I didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't have money. And so I was like, well, how can I thank them for bringing me in? And then it hit me, and I was like, oh, I know, I'm going to get their daughter pregnant. That's a joke, George. But yeah, man. So that's what happened, and I became a father my senior of high school. Not ideal. My daughter's 25 now; she's doing well, but so that's why I joined the Marine Corps. It wasn't because of any other reason except, yeah, going to college as a father is probably difficult at 18. So 4 days after graduating high school, I was down on the Yellow Footprints in Paris Island, joined the Marines, stationed in California. 9/11 happens, 2 combat tours. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Survived physically, not psychologically. Moved to South Texas, got on the San Antonio Police Department, and went through a 40-hour training called Crisis Intervention Team Training. Loved it and was like, this is what I want to do. So then they started a mental health unit. I was fortunate to get on it, but I was also a disaster. I hadn't really dealt my childhood stuff, hadn't dealt at all with my combat stuff. And now as a cop, and I was really experiencing a lot of trauma as a police officer. And so I spent about the next 8 years like actively sabotaging my own life. Women truly became my drug. I was addicted to pornography. And by the time I was 31 years old, I already had 3 divorces, 4 kids from 3 different women, paying over $3,000 a month in child support and just struggling, acutely suicidal more than not. And it wasn't until I walked into the VA and was like, yeah, something's wrong with me. I don't know what. I've got on my limbs. I'm not burned, but something's clearly wrong with my brain. And that was about 13 years ago, and I haven't stopped. And so I'm now a huge advocate of treatment, therapy, whatever version that is for people. And now I own a company, Solution Point Plus, that really, our one of our many philosophies is facts tell and stories sell. And so a lot of our facilitators, not that it's a requirement to work with us, but a lot of our people have storied lives. And so we fuse our frameworks and our concepts and bolster it with story. And it's really authentic and people connect with it. And so we operate at the intersection of criminal justice and behavioral healthcare, and have a myriad of clients throughout North America. Super blessed. I quit my job as a cop in 2020. So coming up on 5 years business full time. It's been the greatest decision I've ever made. And loving the challenge, the freedom, the gifts, the opportunities presented from owning a business. And yeah, just focus on mental health de-escalation, wellness, resiliency, and primarily doing in-person training.
Incredible. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Is anybody, do you consider yourself better? Is that a clumsy term? Is that crude? Am I way off?
No, no, I don't know that anything's crude with me there, George, but um yeah, I think better is safe and fair. To me it's like, in fact, this because I didn't bring it up, but like in this journey, I've given a TEDx talk. I'm featured in a documentary that won an Emmy in 2020. I wrote my first book last year that is an Amazon bestseller called Unarmed. And my second book that I'm doing right now, which should be out pretty soon, is called The 12 Laws of Maximizing the Human Experience. So I see life as a journey. For me, when I was on the mental health unit, when I was suffering as someone that's diagnosed with a mental illness of PTSD and depression, like it's all a spectrum, right? Mental illness is one side, wellness is the other side. And I don't care if you're a monk or a guru, you're not always just living in the wellness, like life is happening. And then just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean that you're stuck on that end of the spectrum either. And so to me, it's all just energy. And I see life as an experience and I want to maximize it. And so that's the journey for me. It's the challenge, it's the evolution of change and, evolving from challenges and what can I learn from them? Not just woe is me, I'm a victim, life was hard, but it's like, yeah, everything in life is either, a lesson or it's pain, and you choose to find the lesson and move forward. And so I'm really good at that now. Um, yeah, better for sure. And it's a journey, right? And I'm just on the journey myself, trying to maximize my own experience.
Well, I appreciate that. It's all just energy. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think like if we go on the quantum level, I think the way I view human beings, like yes, in the spiritual sense, but in essence, we truly are just energy. Like we are actual wavelengths operating in the quantum space of this universe, spinning around however fast we are. Like it's really a miracle that we get to be here. And I think the world, sadly, overcomplicates it and we miss the mark quite a bit. It's why I think there's so much collective and individual suffering. It's because we're wishing for things to be different than they actually are instead of embracing exactly what is. And and then yeah, I think when we look at ourselves as energy, we're either low energy, neutral energy, or high energy. But when you understand that you can actually control and manipulate that, there's a lot of freedom. And especially what I tell people is there's incredible freedom on the other side of your suffering, and we don't have to stay in a suffering space. What I equate emotions to adults are like dirty diapers to children. And when a child soils themselves, they cry and flail wanting to change it. And that's often what happens with adults. As soon as they start to experience an emotion, it's so uncomfortable that they want to change the circumstance, change their hair color, change their spouse, change their car, change their weight, change the tattoo. Like they think anything external will lead to internal change and it won't. And so it's just understanding the all power of change is within me. And that's incredible when I believe that and then see it and experience it. And again, going from a guy that was routinely suicidal and truly never wanted tomorrow to come for me to now like loving, like I love to go to bed at night, excited for tomorrow to come because of whatever's happening in my life. Like that is a massive transformation, but it took a lot of work, right? I'm not going to pretend it was easy, but when you understand that no matter how heavy or dark your suffering is, when you learn to change your frame of reference, when you can experience true gratitude and flip your perspective on life and realize what a miracle you are to even be here, like it just gets much easier, I think. And then it minimizes distractions. Like so much of this world is just a big distraction and we're so divided and focused on things out of our control. And it's like, for what? And so I try really hard to just ground myself in present truth, not worry about anything outside of my control. People get mad and call it privilege. I just call it a reality. And yeah, it's a perspective that brings me joy.
So much really powerful and important stuff there. Grounded in present truth. People say that that's a privilege.
I've been told, well, it must be nice, because you're white or because you're a male or, how privileged that you don't have to worry about all the suffering in the world. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like you can seek out whatever you want to find because the brain only sees what it looks for. And so if you want to be miserable, then yeah, watch the news. Like go to your favorite doom and gloom channel and absorb all of that. I just don't want to do that. And it doesn't mean that that's privilege. To me, the real privilege is that I've gained a new perspective to change my own reality of like, yeah, what is in my control right now in front of me? And as long as I'm operating from that place, like, yeah, other people's judgments or opinions of me truly don't affect me that way. And so, whatever the excuses they want to project onto me that they don't get to experience that, I'm fine with it. I can have empathy for them. I just see it as unfortunately as sad. Um, because again, I am a guy that had immense suffering, like but I've also learned to become grateful for the things that I wish never happened, right? So I wish I was never sexually assaulted. I wished or abused or molested. I wish I was never beaten by my father for years. I wish I didn't like have to be hungry and not know the value of money and be told that, money is terrible and evil and, all these things that I had to learn through life, or like that I could be a secure enough man that I didn't need to seek validation from any woman that was just doting over me like, "Oh my God, you're so amazing." I'm like, that feels so good to a broken person. And I'm like, yeah, if I was secure enough to just deflect all of that or be like, yeah, I'm not gonna like ride that wave with you. And the power for me, George, was when I said it there, but it was when I could become secure enough in my own self that no amount of external validation was going to change my energy. So, like, if you publicly praise me, male, female, professionally, personally, you're telling me how incredible I am, I'm like, awesome. Or if you're like, yeah, you're the worst human ever and I hate you and I want you to die, I'm like, cool. Like, your opinion is none of my business because I am rooted in what I feel is good for me. And if people could understand that, I think we would just have a very different world. But it's hard to get there because we constantly have things competing for our attention. And so it's tough for sure.
Yeah, I heard somebody say years ago that what other people think of me is none of my business. So
Yeah.
that somebody's
Yep.
opinion of me is none of my business.
Yeah. I love it.
That's about as profound as it gets. Well, certainly I think that a lot of the things that you've been talking about are extremely profound. That moment, if it was a moment, and I guess it was, that you made the decision to walk into the VA. Do you look back on that as the moment or a moment?
Yeah, it was definitely the start of the journey for me and it was my ex-wife leaving me and I had cheated, I got caught. She was like, "I'm done." And it was just this self-fulfilling thing that I was doing because I have massive abandonment issues. And so I would get in a relationship, I would cheat openly, I would get caught, they would leave, and I'd be like, "You see?" And it's just reinforcing like this belief that you're always going to leave. And anyone that gets close to me is going to leave me. And so I was creating this. And as she was leaving and was very upset and hurt, and her words were, "Hey, listen, like I hate you, like I truly hate you, but something's seriously wrong with you. Like something is actually wrong." And I remember hearing that as like not a personal attack or an insult, but like maybe there is, because mind you, this was now my like third divorce. And so it was this thing where it's like, wait, maybe it is me, right? Like, like, hi, like Taylor Swift says, you didn't think Taylor Swift would make it into your podcast, George, but like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. And I think now I truly live my life in this way of everything is my fault. So if things are going well in my life, it's because of what I'm doing, what I need to do for me. If things are not going well, like no one else has power over me anymore to like dictate how I show up in the world. And so if I'm having a bad moment, I don't believe in bad days, but if I'm having a bad moment in my day, it's probably because I'm not doing the things I should be doing for myself, right? I'm not active. I'm not eating right. I'm not doing the things that bring me joy, playing golf, whatever it is. I'm not learning or challenging my mind. And so then, yeah, if I get into a dark place, that's on me. That's not on anyone else. And I take full ownership of this existence. And so I remember at the time I was on the police department and I was working on the mental health unit. So I'm showing up every day, but I was really good at putting my mask on because in high school, my nickname was Smiley, but I was acutely suicidal at 15, essentially like scared about where I'm going to go home that night. Am I going to get dinner? But I was the class clown 4 years in a row. And so I got really good at deflecting. And as a cop, I was showing up every day, like early. I was getting awards. I was getting recognized as a great officer. I'm treating people really well in the community, and I'm telling them all the greatest advice, what they need to do to help themselves. And then I'm going home just absolutely miserable, drinking too much, trying to sleep, consuming hours of pornography, really unhealthy. And I'm the mental health guy. And so it wasn't until she left me, I decided, okay, either A, we need to stop like thinking about this and actually end my life, or I need to walk into the VA and just tell them, I don't know what's wrong, but my ex-wife told me something's wrong. So here we go. And I happened to do that. And I'm glad I did. And my first therapist was incredible. He was what I needed in that moment as a man, as a cop, as a Marine. he was quite aggressive with me and lovingly, but I remember asking him one day, I was like, "Hey man, are you allowed to talk to me that way?" And he was like, "Shut the F up and answer." And I was like, "Dude, I'm about to fight you." But it was he was challenging all my crap, like just he wasn't giving me an out, and I needed that. And yeah, and I was with him for years, and then he promoted and moved on. So then I got to another one. I still have a therapist now, but it's not with the VA. I go there for my medical stuff, but I have a private one, which is a testament to how much I believe in this because I get free therapy for life at the VA, and I pay a couple $100 a session every month with my private one just because I love her and she's great. She's a great trauma therapist, and so, but I would spend all the money I have to have that relationship with my therapist because I see the value in it. And again, not that that's the cure, but it's just to me, it's an important piece of the puzzle to have a safe place that you can go to and really confide in someone, open up, share without, consequence or judgment, and just have your own like actions and behaviors and thoughts revealed to you and why they're there and teach you about yourself and your journey and how to actually get better.
So you talked earlier about how we need to interact and embrace the world with how it is versus how we want it to be. And you obviously have been sharing your story and the different decision points and different things that have led you to where you are today. Obviously, you look around and you see people similar to you that are hurting, and I don't want to say need help, but I perceive that they need help, and I'm assuming that you do as well. So there's people who are listening that have loved ones that they see struggling. I know that my brother really did also. So how do you think about that? Is it you don't want to push yourself on other, I think you know what I'm asking.
Yeah, and thank you for being vulnerable with me as well, George, and whatever's happening with you and your brother. I think most people miss the mark on this because they try too hard to do too much. And what people often ask me is like, especially when it comes to like grief or losing a loved one, it's like, I didn't know the right thing to say. And it's like that right there is thought error. Like there is no right thing to say, but there's a whole laundry list of the wrong things to say. And I really mean this, and I'm not just trying to harp on this one point, but like if we go back to understanding the energy aspect, when it comes to grief, the greatest thing you can do for someone is just like be next to them, put a hand on them, and just say, I'm here. And that's it. Then shut up. Don't try to fill it the silence with your words and like, oh, and you want to share a great story or a memory. And it's like, look, right now might not be the time for that. And I think because so many people are uncomfortable with silence, we overfill with just fluff and words, and we're dancing around this thing, like trying to walk on eggshells. And it almost always just leads to the problem being worse. And so if we could just understand to like slow down, less is more, especially when you're dealing with someone that's experiencing an emotion. But this is part of it too, is that for most adults, we're very uncomfortable when another adult is experiencing emotion, right? Like I noticed you, I don't even know anything about your brother, George, but as soon as you brought him up, like you got choked up right there. Now, a lot of people would be like, oh no, I did something wrong or I'm uncomfortable because an emotion is a bad thing. And it's like, no, no. Emotions are the language of our subconscious. Like they're there to communicate to you. It's a call, it's a need. And so I do agree with you that, yeah, there are people who need help. The problem is, how do you help them? Very simply, just saying, hey, listen, I reckon like I would do this in real time with you right now, George. I know nothing about the story with you and your brother, but I can see that when you started to bring him up, it's shaking some emotion in you. Honor that. Like listen to your body because it's conveying something to you. So whatever that means, if it means you need help, there's a conversation that needs to be had, but just know that like there is support for you out there. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, I'm here for you. I just met you and I mean that. Right. That to me. And now if you never utilize that, cool. If you call me after this podcast or tomorrow, awesome. Like if we just have people like throwing out the line, throwing the life preserver out and just saying, hey, it's here if you want it. I'm not forcing this on you, right? I can see something's coming up for you and that's valid, whatever it is. There's no justification needed, but whatever's coming up for you is valid. And if you ever need anything, I'm going to do my best to ensure that it happens for you. Like that's why I tell people like I've never even met, like when I say I love you, like to me it's human essence. It's like, yeah, I love you because of the intrinsic value of who you are and what you deserve. So yeah, we're all on this thing trying to do the same thing, just trying to like find peace, joy, feel loved and understood, and die in peace. Like I think all people want that, but we overcomplicate it when we don't understand someone else's experience and we want to, and then we try to overexert ourselves. And so that's what I would say is just like if you're close and within reach, touch is powerful, right? You get some oxytocin. So just a soft touch, appropriate touch, and just say, I'm here if and when you need anything. And that's it. Like, don't say anything else. Or
I
even
appreciate
acknowledging,
that.
like, I can see you're hurting. And if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. That's that like honor and acknowledge the actual emotion.
I love it. Thank you.
Mhm.
And your advice uh, to your former self. It was that moment um, where your now ex-wife said, you know, I hate you, and there appears to be something very wrong with you. And it's like, oh my gosh, that clicked. Is there advice you would give to somebody who is struggling but don't know if or just don't know if doing this kind of work is right for them?
Yeah, first I would say is while I'm very grateful to my ex-wife for saying that and pushing me, I would say the reframe for me to all people is don't see yourself as like broken because you're not a problem to be fixed, right? Um, but I would say that if you did an audit of your life right now as it is, do you think or believe that there's room for improvement? And I would argue every single human being listening to this or living would say yes, if they have the cognitive capacity. Cool. So then, yeah, I want to be better. Awesome. So what does that look like? Now, I'm a big advocate of therapy, but that's still just one piece of it. There's incredible stuff coming out now. Is it trauma based? Is it, what is it that you're needing? Because I don't believe in like a one size fits all for all people. There's so much research right now coming out in support of ketamine, and they even have incredible programs that have in-home ketamine where they just mail it to you, whether it's lozenges or even subcutaneous, and it's just an injection, or they have nasal spray. So there's three different ways to administer it. But the research on this is staggering how effective it is. Um, the psychedelics are introducing more and more into play, which, I'm a big fan of anything that we can find natural or, you know, created that is having a positive effect, then let's do it. Uh, but yeah, I think the advice is just to be honest with yourself. Like, where are you right now? And if you're thinking to yourself most days when you wake up and you're brushing your teeth, looking in the mirror, like, I should be further along than I am. Like this isn't the life that I wanted. Then what's happening is, and I won't go super deep on this, but what likely has happened is you develop the disease to people please, which most of us have. And this is a huge problem within the Western culture. I have a significant issue with our public education system because what happens very early is you're taught to that your worth almost is wrapped in your grades. Now, the grade system is super arbitrary. Not everyone learns the same. Not everyone's a good test taker. But if I don't get good grades, then suddenly I'm treated different. I'm maybe my parents are less proud of me. And so we learn very early to seek external validation from like a numeric system, and we're ranked in our classes, we're ranked in our amongst our peers, and so right away there's competition and there is self-worth tied in external validation. And there's so many adults that never realize this or haven't broken free from this, because what I call the Western way, or what they call the order of operations, is we are taught like, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get your degree, start your career, then get a spouse, then get a house, then have a baby, pay your taxes, and die. And if you do that, like, life is grand. And there are so many people who have done that absolutely hate themselves. They hate their spouse, they hate their kids, they hate their life, they hate everything. And so we have to stop pretending that there's a prescription to life. There isn't. You have to find out like what it is that brings you joy and pursue that at the expense of everything else around you. Your family might think you're an absolute idiot. When I was quitting the police department with 15 years in, so many of my peers were like, "What is wrong with you, dude? Just 5 more years and you'll get a pension." But I'm like, yeah, but I'm not happy. And they're like, none of us are, but you don't leave. And I'm like, that's terrible advice, right? But that's how people are. It's like you get into this corporate suck and you become a prisoner to your pension and you're like, oh, just 15 more years and I get this like pension. The pension sucks. Like, cool, it's fixed income. It's never going to keep up with inflation. You're going to be miserable anyway. So when you realize that you can take control of your own destiny, and I'm not trying to sound preachy right now, but I'm so passionate about people understanding this like unlock of if you are living your life in accordance with other people's expectations of what it should be, then that's not your life. If when I do a bunch of keynotes, when I open my talk, I say, listen, I'm here to challenge all of your BS. And they're like, and I'm like, that's your belief system, right? Because everything you believe to be true is because someone told you or you read it. But are those your beliefs? Are they even your beliefs? Probably not. They're probably your parents' beliefs, your school's beliefs, your zip code's beliefs, your culture's beliefs, but they're not yours. And if we could just spend some time to say, like, wait a minute, who am I? Like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What is that delta between where I am and where I want to become? What do I have to do to get there? And then just violently execute on it. Again, even though it's going to upset some people along the way, but that's the beauty of us having the privilege of living in America is you have the freedom of thinking and you have the freedom of action as long as you accept that every behavior has a consequence, positive, negative, or neutral. But if you can accept those things, then there's nothing stopping you from living the life you want to have.
Amen. Freedom of thinking, freedom of action, followed by violent execution. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people
Thank
learn
you.
more about you? How can they engage with you?
Yeah, so Joe Smarro on all the socials. My website is joesmarro.com, personal, and then my company website is solutionpointplus, all spelled out.com. And again, Instagram, Joe Smarro, Facebook, and then the book's on Amazon, but it's also on my website as well. So our we have a podcast called Truly Mental, and then I just launched a YouTube channel as well, but that's also under at Joe Smarro, and launching into my new venture, which is becoming the Mental Maverick. And it's really just helping people with their mindsets and frameworks around thinking bigger to free up their life.
Love it. If you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Joe your appreciation, share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to joesmarro.com, Joesmarro, and dig into everything that we've been talking about. Go to solutionpointplus.com to learn more about Joe's company. Check out the Truly Mental podcast, which is a great podcast name. Pick up the book. I will link all of those in the notes of the show. Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you, George. Appreciate y'all. Be well.
Till next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.